This is the first video from our powerlifting series. Today we're going to talk about one of the main lift on powerlifting world, which is the deadlift, and what are the main mistakes or the classic mistakes while performing a deadlift. So check it out. Okay, incorrect setup. This is very important in performing a deadlifts. And there's three key things that we need to take a look at in more, detail. And we will be talking about them throughout the video. The three things that I will be talking about in no particular order is hands placement. You need to take a look where your hands are placed, your hips placement, and your feet placement. In order to perform a better and more efficient deadlift, we will be talking about these three key things to be a better performer at a deadlift and to be more efficient. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, for hands too wide, we only want our hands slightly outside of our legs, and our wrist should be in a neutral position instead of like this or like this. It should be in a neutral position. Okay, so we want a small amount of distance or space between our legs and our hands, not too much of space, because if as much space as we have, that will mean that you're pulling outside of your range of motion. And that is not what we want. We're not doing a snatch pull, we're doing a deadlifts. Okay. Okay. So this is an example. We don't want to have our hands too wide because we will be pulling the bar too high. And we also want to have our hands all the way wrap around the bar. We don't want to have fingers hanging around, lingering there, because as much weight as you keep adding to the bar is not going to be safe for you or others that are around you. Okay, hips too low. This is a very common mistake. And the main thing that we got to take a look at is where are our knees in relation to our elbows. When we set up on that bar, are our knees passing through our elbows, or where are they in that relationship, knees elbows? Let's take a look at that. And I have in the video, you will see in our pro tips section, you will see in a more detail what I'm talking about. Okay, our third key for today. For today's video, we're talking about feet placement, and we will be talking about where our feet are supposed to be. And for this particular video, we will not be talking about wide feet placement. And the reason why is because that will be for sumo deadlifts. We're not talking about sumo in this video. We will be talking about the regular, normal, narrow stands deadlifts, not sumo deadlifts. Okay, I just want to clarify that before I get some questions about it. And so we want to make sure that we are clear in what kind of deadlifts we are performing. So if we're going to perform a regular deadlift, we need to make sure that our feet are not too narrow or too wide. Okay, if it's too wide, we're performing a sumo. Okay, and as you can see on the left, not too narrow, and on the right, not too far away from the bar. So we don't want to perform a deadlift too far away from the bar or too close either. So we need to take a look at that in more detail, in a more detailed perspective. Okay, and we need to be close enough. Our feet needs to be in an almost, quote and unquote, almost shoulder width distance. And why am I saying almost shoulder width? And the reason is because you need to know that this is not a clean, this is not a snatch. We're not setting our feet at a shoulder width distance. We don't want that. At a deadlift, it's inside of that. So if you imagine that we're drawing a square, our feet needs to be inside of that square. So if your hips and your shoulders are that square, your feet need to be inside of that square. Okay, so that's why I'm putting that image in the middle, so you guys can see that we are close enough to the bar, not touching the bar. The bar is gonna touch our shins when we are setting up, like when we are down to the bar, not when we're standing. And our feet needs to be close enough, but not touching the bar. Okay, and inside of that little box that are our hips, so to speak. So let's take a look at that and let's continue. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite part of talking about a deadlift, and this is technically not an incorrect form or setup on the deadlift, and I'm gonna explain why. I wanted to add this on my video, and the reason why is because I've noticed and a lot of people that they try to use this technique, and let's clarify this rolling the bar is something that can be beneficial for some kind of individuals, but it doesn't work for everybody. That doesn't mean that it's efficient. That doesn't mean that it must be used on every single deadlift for every single kind of body or physique. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a lot of misguided people, and I know this is going to cause me a lot of controversial comments, and not that I care about, but and you guys can read about it. But this is very commonly used in like the professional power lifters that are big, muscle, bigger, and they lift like tons of like 600 pounds and stuff like that. And it's not for everybody. It's not something that someone like me will need to use. It's not something efficient for someone like my physique, because I'm not big enough to that I need to use something like this. This is something that someone that is big enough for setup on the deadlift, they can use this as an advantage. That doesn't mean that it must be used on everybody. And that's the reason why I added this technique, quote and unquote, into my video, because I believe it's important to guide people into not just the correct form, because that's very subjective, and everybody can deadlift and everybody can squat, but can you squat? Can you do a deadlift efficiently? Can you be more efficient while you perform a deadlift or a squat? I believe you can. And that's the reason why I'm doing this series on powerlifting. And I really hope that someone can take advantage of this keys point or um, tips, however you want to call it. And I believe if you take notes on how to do a proper setup, you don't need to do this rolling of the bar. If you're someone that is big and you think that something like this can be beneficial, definitely, you can definitely use it. And you can use that momentum when the bar hits your leg and pull the bar. That's the good technique. But it's not something that everybody should be using or utilizing while performing a deadlifts. And that's the reason why I'm adding this on my incorrect setup. Okay, we already talked about the setup, and now we're going to talk about the performance. Even though you may have a good setup ish, or you may have a good setup. I mean, I've been there, okay? And that's the reason why I'm doing this video, because I've been there, and the only way that I can pass through my experience and help somebody out there is through these videos. And um, I think it's important to let you guys know that the best way for you to improve yourself is record yourself. I always tell that to my people, my clients, people randomly who ask me about this. um, Record yourself. Record yourself every single set, every single time. Record yourself, and little by little you can push a little more yourself to be better, and you will see the improvement. Believe me, believe me. So let's talk about one of the most common errors of performing a deadlift. All right, let's talk about the swinging with the back. That's how I call it. Okay, you guys may have heard about some other termination terminology. um, but yeah, the reality is that this particular mistake, quote unquote, um, from my perspective, it comes from the cue from most coaches that squeeze at the top, squeeze the glutes at the top. You're supposed to lock your knees at the top and squeeze the glutes at the top. And you see that I'm using my quote and unquote, because squeeze the glutes at the top is just slightly. You're not supposed to hyperextend your back all the way, because that's causing a lot of strain to your back, and that's one of the main causes of lower back while performing a deadlifts. So every time that I get a friend or a client that comes and tells me, "Oh, I got a lower back pain here." Like, okay, what did you do yesterday? "Oh, I did deadlifts." Okay, it shouldn't be hurting because you did that deadlifts, and that's the main thing. Some people are going to tell you, "Oh, it's normal that it hurts because you did deadlift yesterday." No, no, it's not normal. It's not okay. That is hurting your lower back because you did squats yesterday, because you did deadlifts yesterday. That's not cool. That's not good. You're doing something that you need to correct. So let's focus on that, because this is causing, obviously, for the purpose of the video, I had to, exaggerate a little bit. um, but you guys get my point. You're not supposed to like hyperextend all the way your spine like that. You don't need to. It's not necessary. It's causing a lot of strain on your back, and it's gonna cause a lot of stiffness, and that's why next day you're gonna be in pain. Okay, so hips ascending too fast, or how they used to call it when I used to do CrossFit, the stripper move. And this is very common as well. Your hips are rising too fast. It's not synchronized. Your butt is rising too fast than than your chest, or than your knees. Everything above, and this goes um together with your feet placement and your hands placement, and also your elbows. And the reason why I'm saying this is, if you go back into the video, you will see that I was talking about the feet placement. If your feet are placed too far away from the bar, you're not going to be in contact with the bar. So the direction or the trajectory of the bar is going to be off. It's going to be too um farther away from you, and that's going to cause you to lift your butt off time. And the other thing is your elbow knee relationship. Your knee is supposed to be in contact with your elbow. And you're gonna see a video that I'm going to put a little bit in a little bit, that you can see more like zoomed in what I'm talking about. But if your elbows are behind if your knees, I'm sorry, if your knees are behind your elbows, this is what it's gonna happen. Your hips are gonna be rising too fast. So this is something that can be fixed real quick. And we got to the neck part. I know you guys are gonna say that I was exaggerating the movement, and yes, I was. But this is something that I've seen a lot, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen it. And this causes a lot of pain in the cervical area. Please don't do this. You don't need to do this. You don't have to look up during a deadlifts. You need to look forward. Where you're going to, your eyes are going. Don't look up, don't look down either. Please don't do that. Don't look down. That's worse. So make sure that while you're performing the deadlifts, you are looking forward. If you're standing up, you're looking forward all the way. Your neck should be in a neutral position. Thank you. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts, and I'm just showing you guys here and more zoomed in view how it looks like in a more wide feet placement, more narrow feet placement, and a almost shoulder width placement, not too wide, not too narrow, not too far away from the bar, not too close to the bar. So make sure that you're taking a look at your feet before you're lifting those weights, to be a better performer and a more efficient deadlifter. All right, guys. And this is some more zoom in view as well. And I'm showing you the relationship between the knees and the elbows. Your knees should not be passing your elbows, and there shouldn't be two way behind your elbows either. As you can see in the video, I'm placing my feet less than shoulder width distance. My wrists are in a neutral position. My hands are placed a little outside of my legs, and my neck is in a neutral position. I'm not looking up. I'm not looking two way down. I'm looking forward, and I'm engaging my lats in order to do that lift. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and let's practice and get better, more efficient, and let's get stronger. Thank you guys for watching, and let's keep it lifting.